Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 1495, written by Mysterious Rock 9559. Twisted Geometry of the Underground Levels. For several years, I worked as a guard in an office building which included 5 floors and 4 underground. The underground floors are mainly for parking. Every 2 hours, we need to patrol all the floors, starting at 5, then go down each floor by the elevator. At subfloor 3, parking lot, there is a long walk that connects to the office building with a courthouse for cars. They drive between the two. Takes about 7 minutes to walk there. In my patrols, I need to go there to the checking points. But I never did this because no one instructed me how to get to it. The few times I tried to find it by myself at night, pretty spooky. I ended up being lost and had to go back. So I always pass that place, turn around and go to the elevator to get the underground floor number 4. 2 weeks before my resignation, I told myself, what the heck, I'll try to go there again. I go to underground 3 in the elevator, check the nearest checkpoint on my work phone app. Needed to scan a barcode, and continued to the courthouse. Here is the weird part. When I got to the place where the road to the courthouse was supposed to be, I found the wall of the underground 4th floor. I was stunned. I thought maybe I did go to the 4th floor by accident, which seems pretty weird by itself, because every few meters there's a sign on the wall indicating the floor you are currently on. Big paint of the number, which was 3 all the way to the wall. I went back, noticing now that every sign on the wall says 4. I thought, okay, maybe I went to the wrong floor. But when I got back to the elevator, it said 3. The hour was 3 a.m. I was alone and you needed a key, which I had at the time, to work the elevator. Above all that, when I start the patrol, I lock all the doors to the building. Of course, so no one can get in while I'm not at the entrance. I know I didn't get to the 4th floor by accident while walking, since you need to walk about 10 minutes just to do that in a pitch black tunnel, which I never did since I'm afraid of the dark. Too many horror movies. That's the first and last time I had a glitch in my life, and I really don't know how this could happen. Case file 1495. Twisted Geometry of the Underground Levels. Right, this is isolated quantum uncertainty. When you're alone, weird things can happen. The transmutation process between different parallel universes can happen in a seamless format, and no one is around to account for your disappearance or vanishing. You're the only one to experience it. So for everyone else's frame of reference, maybe it never even happened. But for you, it certainly did. Your perspective is reality. I think that's a takeaway that you can get just from normal physics, is that there is no universal reality. Everything is in flux and dependent on your localized frame of reference. And they know this because of the speed of light. It is always the same speed in a vacuum, no matter your perspective. It doesn't matter how fast you're moving. For you, you're going to see light moving at the speed of light. 299,792,458 meters per second in a vacuum. Now, if the universe was objective for everyone at the same time, then people would see light moving at different rates depending on their own velocity, their own speed. But it's just not how it works. The universe itself, space-time itself, will contract and elongate depending on your own speed relative to someone else. To understand that, and that also means that there is no objective now for the whole universe. If you could zoom out at the scale of the universe, it wouldn't look like some clean, crisp object that's moving in unison with everything else in it. No, everything would be moving at different rates. It's so bizarre. But that's how the universe appears to work. And then if you think about that and extrapolate it to our real lives, even though frame of reference usually refers to the speed at which someone is moving through space-time. But maybe there's more to it than that. I know in that one regard, life is very weird, so who's to say how far that extends? I suppose it extends to the underground levels. Case file number 1496, written by American Slang 59. The Road, Purgatory, and Bright Eyes. I used to work in music and toured with this band. The guitarist, Josh, of the band's best friend, Matt, had died a couple years back. He always talked about the kid, and he seemed like a great guy. Josh always had this recurring dream. Matt was standing on this abandoned street which, supposedly, was metaphorical for purgatory. Josh had all these conversations with Matt in these dreams, and because he had overdosed unexpectedly, he felt like his spirit was not able to move on. At the end of the dreams, Matt would take a bulb from the streetlight on the street they were standing on. Josh described these dreams in extreme detail, and I could pretty much picture what the street looked like. Fast forward to about 6 months into touring with these guys. They were huge Bright Eyes fans and wanted to stop in Cassadaga, Florida. Bright Eyes singer wrote an album there, and it's a really creepy, spiritual medium place. It might be worth noting that 6 of the 7 of the people I was with are atheists. So we drive into Cassadaga around 2 or 3 a.m. and drive around. Suddenly, this big black dog comes in the middle of the road and just stops and looks at us. The guys in this band were weird as hell and were saying things like, "Follow the dog, it's trying to show us something." And in my mind, I'm just thinking they're all freaking idiots. We followed this dog for a few blocks as it was walking pretty slowly. All of a sudden, we turn onto a street and the dog bolts. We try to speed up, but Josh says, "Stop the freaking van. This is it." We are all confused, and he gets out of the van and looks around. "This is it. This is the street in my dream." We hung around for 15 minutes, and from the way he described the street, from having houses on the left to a park on the right, it was definitely the street. As we get in the van, a street light goes off, and we just drive off. He claims he never had more dreams about it, as that was closure on everything. Case notes file 1496. The Road, Purgatory, and Bright Eyes. Yeah, the last part, where the street light went off, that's pure confirmation. It couldn't be a prank, it couldn't be some elongated confusion, no. The light just turning off like that, and assuming this isn't a light that just automatically turns off and not in the presence of someone else, but then all the lights in the area would be like that, so you would notice that pretty quickly. And those are pretty uncommon anyways. So for me, this does confirm that there was a actual human sentience presence there. I don't think it's purgatory, or an intended place of emptiness and cold and death in a certain context. I think it's the remnant echo of your lost friend, who is probably tethered to Matt, who can't let him go. Maybe the more we think about someone who's dead, who passed away, the more they're bound to the earth, or a tiny fragment of them is anyways. Maybe it's for our own benefit, and for us to get closure. Our thoughts create a ethereal tether. It's an interesting concept. Bonus file, written by CyrusKain. Anxiety, Ace, and the Doll. When I first moved into my new house when I was 18, my black lab Ace was anxious to finally get a chance to explore. He had been restrained, so he wouldn't get hurt during the unpacking process. He excitedly ran up the stairs, checking out rooms and sniffing at toilets in the bathrooms. We all went downstairs to the basement, but when we turned back to see where he was just standing at the top of the stairs staring at us. He wasn't panting or wagging his tail. We called for him to come down with us, but no matter what we did, he just stood there looking scared. We picked him up and carried him down with us. While he was down there, he was completely scared, so we brought him back up. Several months had passed and he continued to be scared of the basement. While I was on the laundry side of the basement, I noticed there was a panel beneath the stairwell that could be moved. I moved it aside and found an empty space with a solitary, ceramic doll laying in the center of it, staring with a blank gaze in my direction. I removed it and took it upstairs, throwing it away in the trash outside. The very next time my dog came inside with us, he followed me down the stairs to the basement without a second thought and continued to the day he died. This still unnerves me to this day. Case notes for the bonus file. Anxiety, Ace, and the Doll. You reach a point in life when you understand that cursed objects are simply infused with the energy of their previous host, their previous owner, usually. Although I guess it doesn't have to be their previous owner. But something that someone cared enough about to when they died, their soul infused into it. And maybe it doesn't even necessarily involve death. It's kind of like in Harry Potter where with the Horcruxes, but in this case you don't have to commit murder to infuse it in. And your soul is naturally eternal, so it's not for immortality, it's just something that can happen. Our aura, our energy, can transmute into an object. Now, if you're a good person, I don't think this object would be negative. It probably would make the area feel better. Maybe you have a pet that doesn't want to leave an area, And that's because there's an object there that is infused with a very positive soul. But if you get a very negative, dark soul, maybe some animals are able to sense that more than others. And I think we as human beings can sense it too. But it's sort of like the sense of smell. Different animals and different people will have different levels of the senses. And I think we all have it. It's just some people have it much more attuned and potent than others. The doll was infused with a very negative energy. A very negative person. Best to get rid of it. As you did. Good job. And now time for the quote of the day. I will never be an old man. To me, old age is always 15 years older than I am. Bernard M. Baruch. Well, there is the adage of age just being a number, and I think beyond a certain point where your brain is fully developed, maybe. Your body does age. There's various factors that contribute to that, the shrinking of telomeres, metabolic buildup of damage, and other things. In terms of the mindset, yeah. You always want to think, okay, I'll be old in 15 years from now. I am 33 now, closing in on 34. I don't feel old, and to me, I'm not actually old, but in 15 years, could I say that the same way? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. It is exciting in a way. I think age extension technology, medicine, will rapidly develop. So it could be a point that people like my age now will be able to live forever, at least in a biological sense. I don't believe in magical immortality. That is to say, if you're shot or if some external force destroys your body, well, you're going to die. No way around that. But in terms of aging and disease, maybe we'll figure out a way to deal with that curse. I will hope so, because life is awesome, isn't it? Want to be around forever. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.